family is originally from Mexico. I was born in the city of Matamoros, a border town with Brownsville, so of course my first language was Spanish. Due to Matamoros' proximity to the United States, it has its own variety of Spanish. I didn't realize it until I was older, but a lot of the words used in this type of Spanish come from English words. For example, the word puchar for push, or ride to catch a ride, or cachar to catch, and bacon, which means popcorn. After 9 years of living in Matamoros, my parents and my two siblings moved to San Antonio. Our main concern was that we didn't know the English language, but we were relieved to know there were quite a few Spanish speakers. We quickly learned that the people in San Antonio spoke their own variety of Spanish. But even with the differences, we were just glad to be able to communicate with other people in our own language. While we were learning English during the school year, my mom would take us to Mexico every summer from June to August. Mexico City actually has a really particular way of speaking Spanish, and it sounds a little bit like this.
Donde todo lo chido y padrísimo pasa, ¿no? O sea, güey, ¿me entiendes la onda, no? Es que pues no vale madre que...
So after a couple of months of being there, me and my siblings would kind of adopt that way of speaking, and once we would come back to San Antonio and my dad heard us, he hated it. But that would only last for a little while before we would revert to speaking, I don't know, however else we spoke. Now that our family has spent over 10 years in the US, things have changed around the house. Because my siblings and I came to the US at different ages, we have a different relationship with our second language. For example, my sister, Liana, arrived at the age of 16. She's more comfortable speaking Spanish, and even though she's lived in different parts of the US, she's managed to find jobs in her field where she can also speak Spanish. My brother came to the US at the age of 4. As a result, he's probably the most comfortable with speaking English out of all of us. Even though he's a fluent Spanish speaker, when it comes to writing or reading it, he's not as strong. Still, he has to speak Spanish frequently to interact with our family. I came to the US at the age of 9, and I would like to think that I'm comfortable with both languages. I learned to read and write in Spanish, and due to my undergraduate career in bilingual education, I continue to read and write in Spanish. However, when it comes to reading for pleasure or writing to express myself, I prefer to do it in English. At home, when we're all together is when our differences are more noticeable. Me and my brother speak to each other in English, while me and my sister speak to each other in Spanish. However, if my brother and sister speak to each other, they do it in Spanish. It's confusing, but we work it out. Finally, with the addition of my niece and my sister's Puerto Rican husband, a new language environment has been introduced. In the end, despite living in another country, Spanish continues to be the strong language in our home, and we like it that way.